I was talking about being in the strongest stocks of all time. How come you buy? Okay, that's a great question. And one of the things that I would tell you is you have to be paying attention to the underlying assets from which the groups belong. I don't know if you've been paying attention at all to Bitcoin over the last couple of really weeks, but it did stop going down. And that is a very important distinction. I want to be in the strongest, not in the strongest stocks of all time, because nobody knows what the hell those are going to be. You want to be in the strongest stocks within a group, a particular group. Well, what moves particular groups typically, and I would say in most cases, it's the theme that they're in and the underlying asset that moves them. In the case of Coinbase or in the case of MicroStrategy, it's going to be Bitcoin. In the case of HL or in the case of PAAS, it's going to be silver. In the case of NEM or in the case of AEM, it's going to be gold. So understanding that distinction of like, where is money going? Well, here's one fact. Money stopped leaving Bitcoin, and that is very important, and that can be seen by the higher lows. When price reclaimed the 50 simple moving average and started to find support at the rising 50 simple moving average, one of the things that I talked about in my watch list video and even one of the after hours recap videos is this is an undercut rally, November 21st being your low. And just like Bitcoin, Coinbase going sideways for weeks. This is a sideways range. And you get an undercut of that price level, right, on December 31st. And instantly to start the new year, you reclaim the low. Well, all of a sudden you go up, you pull back, you try to fill the gap, right? You have just a pretty clean consolidation, a pretty clean pullback into the gap. Right. And then you start to bounce, you get nice and tight. And of course, I'm a buyer yesterday. I actually tried buying this off of the support gap. We just didn't close well enough for me to be able to keep it. Right. I actually bought this in here, wasn't able to keep it using stop as low of day. I thought it closed a little too weak going into the weekend, and I wasn't comfortable holding that. But I actually had a much better price. I kind of nailed the low if I'd have just really kept my stop at the low. And ultimately, I ended up buying it as it took out prior day high. And actually, even a little bit before that, I was really looking at prior day high. And in the morning, when we started to wash out and then we found support again at the lows and started to turn back up, that's when I got long. So using the lows as my stop. So effectively a less than 1% stop for now. What is your reward? Right? You have to ask yourself that, right? Now it's a 4% reward. So it's like you're already up 5-1, 6-1 on your money for your risk. So that's just kind of good to keep in mind, like what it is that you're looking for. And it's not so much, I want to be in the strongest stocks of all time, right? That's only ever known in hindsight. I want to be in the strongest stocks for assets that are no longer going down, right? That's, again, a very important distinction. And it's very rare that I'm quote unquote trying to nail a low. But if you were to ask yourself, what does a low look like, right? It would look a little bit like Bitcoin. So yeah, trying to get that figured out for yourself is, part of the process of figuring out where money's going. And ultimately, my job isn't to be right. My job is to limit my losses in case I'm wrong. And in this case, so far, I'm right? So I'm doing my job well enough that I'm making money on something that has now potentially bottomed. And again, that's the only thing I really care about, right? That's the only thing I really care about. I tried buying Cypher yesterday, and the problem with Cypher is it just didn't close well enough. And I kind of think about it. I should have bought Iron instead the day before. I should have bought Iron. Very, very similar. So I personally thought the setup was getting through Monday's high, and you'll kind of see exactly what I talked about with coin. You get the morning ramp, you then get the pullback right in the early morning, and then you start to build a higher low and then get back through VWAP. This would have been about the best spot to get long, really, with my stop at the higher low. So you're talking like 2%, 2.5% risk, and then, where are you at now when you're in down here? Very, very nice as you are getting back through the 50 simple moving average. But yeah, I'll be watching a Cypher as well. I would kind of prefer to own, I would prefer to own iron, but Cypher's not bad. They've ran up together. Those were last year's PPI numbers for what it's worth. So not really worried about that. Well, yeah, I'll wait till 10 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Silver is not the underlying of silver junior miners. Silver junior miners are the thing that move because silver is going higher. Oh, and yes, actually, you are correct. Yes, silver is the underlying asset. Yeah, that is right. Silver is the underlying asset of silver junior miners, the same way that GLD or gold is the underlying of GDX. Home builders have been pretty strong over the last handful of days. I just don't know that I would be able to buy this. Maybe as a higher low setup, if we could kind of check back for a few days, we'll see. What about Rigetti, Gavin? The quantum stocks don't look that great. What about it? I bought SEI the other day and I got stopped out the very next day. So I actually bought right in here somewhere, if I'm not mistaken. And I ended up getting stopped out the very next day. I should have kind of waited for a 5-minute, 5-minute opening bar close right into a support gap. I feel like I've done that a handful of times, just selling into a support gap. But what am I going to do? Got to get better at that. CTMX, therapeutic stock. I mean, just kind of wedging higher. I need price to maybe, it's fine. I don't really see a spot that I love on this name. Just be careful with therapeutic stocks, especially ones that kind of look like, I don't know. It's good, but not great. It looks like it trades a little thin. Am I right about that? Yeah, $12 million, dude. There's no reason this should even be on your radar. In certain instances, yeah, pullbacks to ascending moving averages are in a stock that's uptrending can be more low risk than a breakout. But I do personally prefer breakouts. Well, silver was 10 times its average true range from the 50 simple moving average, right? 10 times its ATR from the 50 yesterday, and today it's going to be even more extended. So XMTR, Xometry. I mean, a little bit longer, and this would kind of be like a flat base breakout. Yeah, ANET. Yeah, I wasn't going to buy this name anyway. I mean, really, what's the setup here? Buying a stock as a undercut and rally, maybe? You buying that as a UNR? It's not like you've missed anything. Buying a stock rallying right into the declining 50-day. Well, I think Coin is probably the one I would just stick with, to be honest with you. That kind of just seems like the one that, I don't have to really worry about dilution with, like BMNR and MSTR. You get dilution. With Coinbase, there's not really that problem. You were in Baba and Baidu, but you sold when the news came out on tariff after. Wait, why would you just randomly get rid of your stocks? Yeah, don't do that. Don't just get rid of your stocks that are acting completely fine. Galaxy looks like iron. Yeah, Galaxy looks like it might be trying to bottom. Who knows? We'll see. There's no setup in ONDS at the moment, CJ. I typically like to raise my stops after 3 days, like 2 to 3 days, right? So if I get a nice push on day 2, right? So like even considering my HAL trade, which, still is bothering me because I got shaken out, but even, this HAL, you get this nice push from prior day. So like I'm buying this thing as it's breaking out of prior day high, right? I get day 2, I get day 3, I'm moving my stop to break even, right? Day 1, day 2, and then even on day 3. At that point, I'm like, okay, I'll kind of leave my stop at break even at this point. No reason for me to take a loss on it. And then it washes out. Unfortunately, I'm cutting it, even though that ended up being the wrong decision, because the next day, of course, it bounces back, and then now it's gapping up overnight. So it's not always the right decision, but I typically like to move my stop to break even like Reddit, right? I was in Reddit for 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th day, literally 5 days. And then on day 6, it has a massive washout, and I wasn't comfortable, letting my shares go red. So I cut the rest of it again into this washout. Once again, it ended up being the wrong decision. But in most cases, I do want to make sure that, I'm not holding round trip. I'm not holding really nice green into red. Like that would kind of bother me more than just taking it off at flat. So. A lot, right? Assuming 65% losing trades, how many are full? Yeah, there's not many of them are not full R losses. A lot of them are just very small partial losses. So we do gotta kind of got to take that into account. And one of the things that I'll say is, and I've kind of said this before, there's like 3 of the most common trades that you're going to take in your career, and those are break even, small green, and small red. Right? The one trade in your career that you have to avoid is big red. And then the home runs will just take care of themselves. Like amongst the 35% of the trades that you do have that are winners, they're going to be small green. And then, maybe 10% of the 35% of the winners that you have will be big green, right? So like last year, I want to say like all of my PNL was comprised of like 8% of the total of my trades, right? Like literally 8% or less. Like, so if I had, and at one point I had like 220 trades, my entire P&L was made up in 20 trades, basically. The other 180 was just basically break even. When you kind of look at it. So that's just kind of the nature of the beast as a swing trader. You're looking to sit in your very best stocks, and ride those winners. Like I'm kind of sitting in one right now, Alibaba, and you get this gap up overnight, and my thinking goes, you break out of this falling wedge, this could be a really big winner. And one simple trade could make your entire quarter. Circle's interesting, in the crypto space. I don't know that I'll trade it myself, but it is getting very, very tight here. And again, looks like it might be done going down, but we'll see. No, I don't really have. I've got my watch list, but I don't really have any particular names that are, like I have to own based on, the tariff decision. So I'll keep my watch list in check, and then just based on the reaction to the tariff decision, then I'll kind of decide what it is that I'm going to do. So just gotta keep my positions that I own, just keep them and let them work for now. So. Yeah, so Tesla, I bought in 2 5% pieces, basically. So I bought on the support gap, a reclaim. I bought on a break of prior day high, and then I added a little piece yesterday on a hold of the 50 simple moving average. So I bought in a 5% position, 2 5% positions, and a 3% position. And then if we were to take out today's highs and make a higher low, I would add some more. So that's kind of, how I'll do it. And then, by the time we build another higher low back above the 20 and then take out that 490 level, if any of that ever happens, I would probably be in about a 25% position in Tesla. So for me, this is just a name I want to let work as a potential cup and handle and just building myself in slowly. So I don't really want to get too aggressive all at once, just in case I'm wrong. Thoughts on Hood? Yeah, Hood's going to be interesting. If Bitcoin keeps going, I think that, Hood could easily follow. I basically had a 50% year last year, but, my account's getting a whole hell of a lot bigger. So it's, kind of tough. I mean, I know people who can, do 100% probably on my account, like the short bear maybe. But it does get a little tougher. Like, my goal doesn't really become triple digit gains anymore, right? I mean, that just, you know, I don't know how realistic that is unless I really, really, really try to push size and yeah, I really don't need to do that. I just need to let stocks work once I'm in them, and I'm comfortable getting myself into a big position, but it has to be done slowly and or after the market has, some big correction. Otherwise, I really don't have to try and, push the envelope too hard. Bought IMO yesterday on a reclaim of the 50 and XOM sympathy play. It's an XOM subsidiary. Let's take a peek. Imperial Oil. Oh yeah, nice push yesterday. Yeah, I mean these names are definitely in uptrends. And you look at VLO, there's another uptrend, and you look at CVX, right? Here's another uptrend. At least that's what it looks like to me. But we'll see. I think oil and gas, is definitely an interesting theme going forward. But we'll find out. Yeah, Fix has actually got a pretty nice chart. Nice flat base breakout in here. Really nice breakout of the high volume close, but also a nice little flat place. I mean, it got a little bit choppy in here, which I don't love, but we keep talking about it, right? Pullbacks into ascending moving averages. The 50s ascending, pullbacks into that level have been buyable. So what kind of setup was I buying? So initially, coin was just a UNR, and it was just a little break of prior day high as a higher low setup. That's it. That ATR script is from Jeff's son. There's a lot of therapeutics and biotech names on the scan for sure. Nah, I would just leave this stuff alone. Leave the cheapies like beat alone. VRT, yeah, maybe. Surprisingly, this VRT is holding up as well as it is. Not bad. How do I know which sector's strong? You could look at your sector ETFs and just scan stocks on your 90-day relative strength scan and figure out what's the commonality between them, right? That's like the work that you have to do, right? It's, or you can use Deep View, you can use FinBiz, you can use Market Search, right? There are tools out there, or you can build scans and then you can scan the market, right? And that for me is the fun part, figuring out where money is going. SIMO, Silicon Motion, yeah. This thing had a nice low cheat setup down here too. I just kind of ignored it for whatever reason. Very nice. UMAC, that's a drone name. Maybe like a cup and a handle. I mean, a little sloppy here on the right-hand side. Let it tighten up a little bit more. Sounds good. InnoData. I mean, good but not great. It looks like a lot of these other names that have made like, this nasty move down, double bottom, starting to come back around, right? It looks like your Irons and your Ciphers and your Galaxies and all your others. CCL is a cup and a handle. I mean, for me, I think it just has to take out these highs. Seems simple enough. Guys, I don't want to have to explain this a gazillion times. I bought coin because Bitcoin's no longer going lower, right? You can't just like look at coin. You have to be looking at the thing that moves coin. What would move coin? The answer is Bitcoin. I've been literally talking about this, I feel like every day for I don't know how long. Or maybe I just talk about it a lot in the Discord, so I apologize if I sound like an asshole, but I feel like I've explained this already a bunch of times. Right? What stopped going down? Where's money going? Where is money leaving? You've heard me say that, hopefully you've heard me say that a handful of times. The reality is that money is no longer leaving Bitcoin. Hence the reason it stopped going down and started going sideways. When you got back up above the 50 simple moving average on this 5-day push, I didn't want to buy it on the 5th day in a row, right? I wanted to see if it would pull back and find support at the rising 50, which is exactly what it did. Coin didn't do anything wrong except gap up, which, by the way, trends definitely can change on a nice little gap up. This isn't bearish. This gap up, it's bullish. And then you just consolidate cleanly, right? And you start to get nice and tight, and Bitcoin starts to boom yesterday. and then you get long on something that's on Bitcoin that is no longer going down. In fact, Bitcoin was going up yesterday and holding up yesterday, right? Was anybody paying attention to Bitcoin while the QQQ was going down, right? So Bitcoin is doing this all day, going up, right? And what was the QQQ doing at that time? Yesterday, right? At one point, it was going down. So the QQQ is going down at one point, and Bitcoin's holding up, right? Bitcoin was no longer being sold. It's a very important distinction. So I bought Coin because it gave me a setup that I understand and a very low risk setup in case I was wrong. And mind you, I'm wrong 65% of the time. So it wouldn't bother me if I took a loss there at all. TSEM's interesting. It just still has to get out over this Monday's high. 112, what is this, 45? Yeah, 112.45. Yeah, I mean, Rivian, the question is, and Rivian's gapping down. One of the things for me, do I want to own Rivian or would I rather just add more to Tesla? I think I know the answer to that question. AMKR, it's a little too extended from the 50, so it's not buyable. I understand it looks like a nice high type flag, but it's like 6.5 times its ATR from the 50. EOSC gapping down, good. In a way, this is good. It needs to tighten up anyway. If I were long from above the 50 simple moving average, I mean, I really wouldn't have bought this thing here anyway, just because of the move, to get up there. Nothing. I mean, I'll tell you what, if you bought it over the 50, you still should have been trimming into this. Like yesterday's move should have caused you to trim, right? This little consolidation here where it just stops going up out of a clean consolidation, even on a smaller time frame, and it starts to roll over, right? That would be kind of my cue to get out of some, especially after this move, right? Something goes up, 60% in 9 days. You got to know that it could easily pause. So it's a market leader based on group, which is memory, and price action. That's the only thing that really matters. Do I live only of trading or do other stuff as well? No, trading is my I don't have another career. Trading's the thing I've been doing for 6 straight years. So I don't have another hobby other than, maybe going to the gym, hanging out with my dogs, being with my wife, traveling. That's all I do, that and trading. You have a 79%. I mean, look, it's been a little bit of an easier month in January, so that's really good. You're almost batting 80% on 20 trades. I mean, that's amazing. That means you've been right on 16 of them. That's really good. That's really, really good. Would it be too late to enter BABA? Yeah. Yeah. Plus, we've got that tariff news coming out today, right? There's no reason for you to be looking to necessarily buy BABA here, right? Where is the tight, Gavin? You hear me tell you this all the time. Where is the tight? Tight was when it was coming out of a falling wedge, and then you get the gap up. Tight was what it gave you the day before, right? That's it. You buying it up here is not the same as me buying it down here. So now you got to just wait for it to tighten again. Do I still like BABA for a potential continued move down the road? Absolutely. But do I think that just buying it up here is the way, especially before a Supreme Court decision on tariffs that could directly affect China? I mean, you know that answer. Do I think CRML has bottomed? Not really. I mean, maybe, but I don't really see a spot to buy it here. And it's not like I would buy it here risking off lows, 50% lower. So there's nothing really to do with it, in my opinion. UNR is an undercut and rally. What would an entry on VRT look like? Pretty good question. I mean, it kind of looks like it's bottoming. I think What would a good entry on a VRT look like? Probably a break over the 50 simple moving average, show a little bit more strength, get back over this because ultimately, what's this thing doing right now? It's actually building lower lows. I would really want to see it get back out over 183.25's high in order to invalidate the idea of lower lows and make a higher high, right? So higher lows followed by a higher high. And then you can then pull back after you built that higher high and build a new higher low. So why don't I use options? Because I don't understand them as well as I should. I mean, I don't trade them, and I don't understand them as well as I should because I don't trade them often and I haven't taken the time to learn them. Right? That's the big thing. So in other words, I don't like to do things that I'm uncomfortable with. There's just no need. You bought Joby on Monday. You got stopped out going from, yeah, kind of tough. Not really a lot that can be done after that. Money is leaving Rocket Lab. That whole group needed a little breather anyway. I mean, look at how extended this was from the 50, but it's still well above the 10. It's above the 20. It's above the 50. It's above the 200, right? I mean, there's no big deal with Rocket Lab coming down a little bit today, right? The rocket names have been completely vertical. I mean, just look at PL, right? I mean, these names like that go straight up like this. Things can't go straight up for forever. And I still have faith in Rocket Lab that it could, be $100 billion company. So I don't know that I would trade Mara per se, right? I don't know that I would trade Mara. There's when you've got Riot, right? Why Mara when you have Riot? Would I be looking at NVIDIA, Palantir short? I mean, with this amount of chop, no, probably not. I don't think so. If you want to invest a certain amount, how many multiples would you consider trading volume of that stock? Probable investment is around 20K with 2 million. Yeah, if you're trying to put 20,000 into something, yeah, that's probably all you need is about 2 million. You have to consider your entry and your exit if you had to do it on the same day. So it'd actually be 50x. Because if you bought 20K and you had to get out 20K, that's $40,000 of a, 2 million. And even 2 million, like what institutions are trading stocks that only trade 2 million bucks a day? That's, my point when I say that. Like focus on stocks that, could have institutional sponsorship. It's not going to be stocks that are trading 2 million bucks a day. FinViz is good and it's free. If you want to know what sector a stock is in, just go on FinViz, type in the stock name, and it'll tell you exactly what group it's in. You can click on that group and you can look at other stocks within that group, right? And then you could even sort by market cap and then click on the, biggest names within that group and see how the biggest are acting. Yeah, CRCL, I don't know that it's a VCP per se, but, it definitely looks like it could be bottoming. Why MP and not CRML? Well, because one is being backed by our federal government. The other one is just a pump and dump. Yeah, Gavin. I don't know with GSAT. Where would we be looking at this thing? Maybe over this is like a little low cheat potential. Getting back out over 67.56. TLN. I mean, it's definitely in a really clean uptrend. My goodness. Talent Energy Corporation. Unbelievable. Where do we buy it? Maybe when it makes a new higher high. It's like 401 bucks. SEI is a tough one. Plus, I already took a, kind of a crappy little loss on it. So, yeah, I show exactly, and I talk about exactly the names that I plan on buying. I'm live streaming in real time, talking about all the trades that I'm taking. So, and I tend to share all of my open positions all the time. So open book. You bought Baidu at 124. That's amazing. Microsoft looking for a UNR? It could be. What's the low here? 460, 489. Yeah, we're going to want to see software stocks act a whole lot better. No, BE, is this a place to get involved with what? Like a long? So like we're just going to start buying stocks that are up 70% in 7 days? Is that what we're going to start doing, Chris? Does this seem like the right spot to you? I think Rocket Lab needs to consolidate. There's no setup. Yeah, CoreWeave is interesting. NBIS is interesting. I kind of almost prefer NBIS because it's at least back above its 50. LC Lending Club leading in the space. I actually think Rocket Mortgage is kind of leading, but tomato, tomato, right? They both could go. Yeah, I thought, Fernando, this is a good question. Yeah, I did have some struggles in 2022, in the middle of 2022, because the things that I was learning as a long bias trader only at the time weren't really working. And that's kind of when I had to step back, study some short selling as well. And then it was funny because by the time I felt like I was a good short seller, those ideas weren't really working anymore. Because we had officially bottomed in October. So, being a short seller, like learning short selling in the middle of the year, implementing it, feeling more confident doing it, and then it not working anymore. After longs not working, like in April, May, June, and then being like, all right, I need to learn some shorting. So, but it's all worked out well because, like learning both longing and shorting has kind of taken my mind off of, like having too much of a bias at any one point. So, yeah, I mean, you have to just show up every single day, guys. Not only am I here with you guys every single day, and I've been basically doing it every day for like the last 7 months, every single day, with the exception of a few travel days. I'm at the desk, trading, studying. I scan at night. I think about trading. Like I just am obsessed with my career. And that's what makes my job a whole lot easier because I have a real passion for what I do. A lot of people, they want to be really great at something, but they're too distracted with, 20 other things in their life, or, they enjoy too much time out on the weekends drinking or going to clubs or going to, a bunch of things that they don't need to be doing when they're trying to really improve at one particular area in your life. So if you're trying to be a great trader, you have to put in that kind of effort. And then like once you've built the knowledge base, it never leaves, right? So, right, like my routine from scanning to building a watch list to knowing where money's going to, and there are certain little things that changes because the market changes, but you pick up on those in real time and you're always kind of in tune with the market. But yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, we've all had our struggles. Even myself, right? Last year, I thought was pretty easy, and I had a green no January through November. Then comes December, and I have a red month, right? So I'm still human. I still make mistakes, and that red month might be cleaned up based on what XOM, ends up doing, and NEM ends up doing. So, it might not have been a red month by the time I close those trades, but I'm still human. And I make mistakes all the time. So it's just a matter of learning from them, staying in the groove, being in your routine, and doing the thing you really love. And that's really the edge. The edge is showing up. A lot of people think that the edge is something else, right? The edge is just showing up every single day. So yeah, I really, other than that, I don't know, man. I've got persistence like none other. Transmedics, yeah, ugly candle. And even the day before, right, where you thought, oh my God, maybe it's trying to come out of this little itty bitty consolidation, which, I could understand how, this could be viewed as a potential, consolidation. And then you just get shaken out. And then all of a sudden it's starting to go again. And you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I don't own it. And then, they close it weak again. Tough. with a relatively small account, I mean, you have to be a really, really, really competent trader, like to generate a meaningful income. Like you could have a career and trade. I know guys who do that, and you might be trading with like a 50K account, and then you grow that into something meaningful, right? Like you double it over 2 years or a year, and then you're at 100,000, and then you're gonna pay some taxes, and then once you like really develop a strategy that works, you're making money. From there, really from there, then you can add money from your career. You can't have like too small of an account because you have to pull from it, right? Like I live off my trading, so my life isn't necessarily super cheap. So it's like you have to have some kind of good sized portfolio in order to be able to pull and then still be able to compound your gains. So but I would continue to work while you study trading, focus on swing trading, show up in the morning, execute your trades, set your stop losses, execute in a really good environment. And the way you'll know it's a good environment is if a lot of your trades stick, right? That's really important. And then once you figure out something that works, yeah, like once you're at like 250,000 and you're a really competent trader, like you can make 100% in a good year, right? Pretty easy, in my opinion, right? As your account gets too big, you might not be able to do that, but you can make 100%. In some cases, more, right? In some cases, a whole hell of a lot more. FRPT, Fresh Pet. What group is Fresh Pet in, and why does this look like this? Don't think just because I bought coin that buying Fresh Pet now is a good idea. I don't know. I don't know what the Supreme Court's going to say. I don't know what the market's going to react like to that news. Because Iron and Cipher aren't directly crypto related. They are data center related, CJ. They are data center. That's how they've been moving this whole time. Because when Bitcoin was going down, right? Iron was going up. Why was Iron going up? Because crypto was going down? No. It was going up because it's being re-rated as a data center stock. So I'm looking to get directly involved with crypto names, and that would be Coinbase. If I had SanDisk from 260, how much would I still be holding? About 40%. I don't think Palantir's ready to go. Not yet, anyway. Lily looks pretty damn decent. We'll see. App 11 look good to you? Yeah, I mean, it continues to be strong. I don't really see a setup here, right? Rallying 3-4 days in a row into the declining 20, but it looks good. LEU, nice setup. I don't know that I would call it nice, right? All it did was sell off all day yesterday. Don't know that I would call it nice just yet. If one trims on strength, shouldn't he be trimming on weakness too? I do trim on some weakness as well, right? Like if I'm going to be trailing, let's say the 50-day, but you break the 20, I'll trim some as well. I don't know that Chime is ready just yet. Steel Dynamics, STLD. I kind of missed this one here. The other one that I missed in the steel sector was ATI, unfortunately. $100, nice 20-something% move. You always lose more than 50% of your unrealized gains. I mean, I do that sometimes too, but I don't know. Is that like on a per trade basis? That seems like a lot. SES is a nice sympathy play to batteries. No, I'm not trading these things. Far too thin. $2. I mean, you can, but CRML has mines in Greenland. Yeah, but they could have unicorns there for all I care. I would advise you to go look at a chart like SOUN when it goes vertical, and then how long it took of basing for it to finally go again, right? You have to study these charts, right? You make a really, big move and random move at that up, right? Where it moves, whatever this is, 500%. Look at how long it takes of going sideways before it's finally ready to go again. If this is going to look like CRML is going to need months. Nobody cares that they have mines in Greenland. Who cares about that? This isn't just going to V-shape recover right back to highs. You can go ahead and get that out of your head now. G-Fun, it's nice to have you in the room, brother. Thank you for being there. With tariffs ahead, yeah, I don't know that I'll be buying or I will be adding. I'm not going to be definitely not buying Baidu right now. It's just like this thing gaps up way too much. And Baba I already own. I wouldn't be buying this in front of that news. Put on a bit of CRDO. Yeah, I like CRDO. I also thought this was an interesting undercut and rally in here too, right off this 132 level. But it's starting to seem like Scotland, you've got AMD, CRDO, and then hopefully ALAB as like the others within the semi space that are starting to go, which is really nice. Why do I like so many stocks living under the moving averages? Okay, so I own ALAB. It's not under its moving averages. I own BABA. It's not under its moving averages. I own NEM. It's definitely not underneath its moving averages. I own XOM. It's definitely not underneath its moving averages. I own Tesla. It's only underneath the 20. I don't understand what you mean. Why do I like so many stocks living underneath the MAs? Doesn't really register what you're saying. I think it's like at 10. I think it's at 10 a.m. when the Supreme Court decision comes out. I think. Yes. So Tesla was the third time I added to it, and it was also the smallest position I added to it. Right. So I bought the support gap reclaim a full few days ago. On Thursday, I added some on Friday, taking out Thursday's highs. And then I added more yesterday on the hold of the 50 simple moving average. So it kind of needs to hold that today in order for me to keep those shares. So we'll see. Thanks, Stefan. Yeah, literally live streaming all day. If I'm at the desk, I'm definitely live streaming. Yeah, I think XOM. I don't know that I'm going to quote unquote hold forever, but this is a new all-time high breakout and I've been saying it, I don't know, since November. It's the biggest and nicest base in the entire market, right? Slow as shit, but I plan on sitting here on the weekly chart. So I have no plans on leaving. The 20 weekly moving average is basically at my average. So, my hope is that I could probably hold this name for, a year. I don't know, 9 months, no, something like that. I don't know. Hit me up when this thing is 200. That sounds good. That'll have been a massive trade, and I'll have gotten paid a dividend 4 times. LBRT, a little Liberty Energy. I mean, it's. I don't know if this is an oil and gas name, but just straight up off the bottom now needs to tighten a little bit more. TTMI is a HVC. No. The time to have bought TTMI was against the 50. You're a little bit extended here, in my opinion. Yeah, little extended. Thoughts on MBX? MD, you gotta know everything about these bioscience stocks, but not bad. It seems a little thin. MBX, yeah, 25 million bucks a day. I thought this little inside day was pretty nice in here, right? You got to be like, if you want me to like MBX, you got to be like seeing this as a higher low and then this little tight inside day and then another inside day within the inside day, right? And then you're buying it basically over 32 bucks, right? That's where you want to get long right here on Monday. How often do I withdraw money? I kind of just do it all at one time during tax season. And then that's about it, man. And I take out, what I'll need to live as well. So any thoughts on Beam Therapeutics? Yeah, that's a nice move, man. Keep your eye on these genomic stocks. And I love the pickup in volume. Genomics names, ARKG. Yeah, definitely an ETF worth watching as well. SYM starting to shape up. Serve as well, but I don't know that I would trade Serve. But SYM I like a whole lot more than Serve. I after like a couple of days of being in a trade, I move my stops to break even. Can I check out Oxy? I'm all familiar with that name. It's one of the lagging oil and gas names. I would look at VLO, HAL, and SLB before I look at that one. Yeah, I still think A-Lab's got a nice little setup. In fact, I prefer the gap down today. So very, very nice gap down. LITE has had kind of random price action up here. There's not much I would do with it at the moment, right? Just let it keep building out the right-hand side of the base. Anyway, guys, I got to get my butt moving. Hopefully you guys all have a great trading day. Great question. Do I make more from my trading or from Discord? I made $7 million last year, man. So I don't have that many people in my Discord. You tell me. So I've gotten that one before. Yeah, I make a shitload more trading, dude. So hopefully that answers that and puts that to rest. You guys have a great rest of your trading day. I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow. I won't be on the desk on Friday. I am going skiing to Breckenridge. So you guys have a great rest of your Friday if I don't end up seeing you. But I will see you guys tomorrow morning. So have an awesome rest of your day, guys. Trade them well.